Hey there. My name is Javier Poveda. I'm a real estate agent with this great company, with Poveda Realty. I've been doing this business for about 15 years now, mostly specialized in the distressed property market. And here I have with me a great friend of ours, Mr. Jesse Alfaro. Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Hi, Javier. Thank you for inviting me today.
Good to see you, man. Thank you for coming. You're from Mexico, right?
Originally born in Mexico, but raised in Texas.
In Texas. I'm originally born in Colombia, but raised in Colombia. Okay. And anyway, Jesse, thank you for coming. Jesse is a great inspector. We've been doing deals with Jesse for the last, 5 years, maybe 7 years?
Yes.
A lot of years. I've been here in Utah doing real estate for 13 years now. Maybe longer. I think that we met before. I don't know, but we've done a lot of deals together. Jesse is my favorite inspector. And he's very thorough, very professional. And he works for Safe Home Inspections, a great company.
Correct.
Okay. He's very thorough, very professional, and the idea today is briefly talk about the importance of having a good inspector by your side when buying a property, right?
Right.
During the last 13 years, I've closed a very significant amount of transactions here, both distressed or non-distressed, normal, pre-foreclosures, whatever. But in all of these transactions, I've seen the importance of having a very good inspector. Because when you buy a property and when you get in love with the property, or when you think that you're making a good investment, there are many things that you're not able to see, right? You're right there on the spot when you sign a contract. So that is why I am here with Jesse talking about the importance of having inspection. Jesse, the question is basic. It's kind of like, what is important to have a good inspection done on a property prior to buying it, basically?
Well, the importance is, well, number one, a home is probably the biggest investment you're going to make in your life. And it's a long-term investment. You know, for most, it's going to be about 30 years. So you want to know what type of condition a home is in before you make that purchase. You don't know if it's going to be a money pit. You don't know what type of repairs are going to be needed before you move in, or you may not need to have any kind of repairs made before you move into the house. So the inspection is going to help you make the right choice. Do you want that house? Are you okay with the deficiencies it has? Or maybe do you not want that house and want to go on to another one, look for another one?
Okay. What are the most common problems that you find on properties, especially used properties, when you just do an inspection? What is the most common problem that many people don't see before buying a home?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think most of the problems that I see, the most common problems I see is one, plumbing. Could be the water pressure, could be drainage, could be leaks. Two, air conditioning. Sometimes I've seen people turn on the air conditioner and they think it's working fine, but there's actually a proper way to check the air conditioner to see if it's working or not. And that's through testing or checking the temperatures at the return vents and at the supply vents. And there's a certain number you're looking for, and that's an indicator whether it's working right or not. Most people don't do that. You don't come with your own thermometers to test the air conditioning. The other things are the appliances. So some of the appliances may take a whole hour to run, but when you're doing a walkthrough, it's only 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes.
Right.
And you probably don't have permission to turn on their dishwasher.
Exactly.
And run all their appliances.
Unless the property is vacant, but right?
Yeah, and even then, right, that's true. So there's so many things that the typical home buyer and even agent is not going to be able to recognize.
Absolutely.
Especially during a 5-10 minute visit. So that's why you need a home inspector to be thorough, be there for the time that it requires to be able to inspect everything thoroughly.
Which are the things that you don't see, you don't check out on an inspection? What are the things that you don't take care of when you go to a property and inspect a home?
Right, good question. Well, let's see. First of all, believe it or not, the standards of practice for a home inspector typically don't require you to report things like mold. So a lot of people assume that when you're getting a home inspection, that mold is part of the home inspection, when actually it's an optional test. So that's definitely something to bring up with the inspector. Curtains, blinds, flooring, paint, cabinets, those type of aesthetic things are typically not part of the inspection.
Do you do, for instance, the landscaping? I mean, the sprinkler system check out, something like that, or you don't do that?
So as part of the landscaping, I typically don't include it as part of the inspection, except for the part that's up close to the house, because it's very important to have a slope away from the house so that water flows away from the house, because you never want water ponding within 24 inches of the house. That can actually have an adverse effect on the foundation. So that's probably the only part of the landscape that I'll include in inspection, unless I see like the backyard is completely sloping towards the house. Then again, that's something that would be included. But you know, is the grass dying? Is it patchy? That kind of thing. Is it infected with some kind of fungus or something? You know, it's not part of the inspection. As far as sprinklers go, I know many inspectors don't do them. When I was in Texas, I did include them as part of the inspection. But coming to Utah, the one thing I did learn very quickly was that you can inspect a sprinkler system in the fall just before they turn off the water, and they could be working just perfectly fine. But after you leave, you don't know if the homeowner has, or the previous homeowner has, blown out the lines. Well, here comes spring or beginning of summer, time to reactivate the sprinkler system, and guess what? Now you have a frozen pipe, busted sprinkler head, and then the inspector gets the phone call, hey, you said it was working just fine, and I'm having issues with it. So for that reason, I and many other inspectors don't include sprinkler systems in the inspection. So be sure to, whoever you hire, to ask if that's part of the inspection or not.
Yeah, good point. A very important thing is, another thing that comes to my mind now is, from a recent experience that I had, we had it together, by the way. It was when you're buying a home, you don't know who lived in that home, especially if that home was rented, right? So recently we went to a property I was trying to buy myself, and what happened is that I knew that the property was rented. At the moment we tried to put an offer on the property, it was vacant. So big question. Okay, Jesse, come over here. I want you to inspect my property. Blah blah blah. Hey, Jesse, what about a meth check? Meth. You know what meth is, right?
Absolutely.
Guys, what is that?
Methamphetamines.
Okay. Drugs. People cooking things, weird things inside their homes. So why is of paramount importance for us, for you, for every buyer, to run meth tests on used homes especially, right?
Right. Well, first of all, we don't know who's lived there, what type of lifestyle they lived. Sometimes maybe the meth didn't come from the people that lived there before you bought it from them. It could have been from somebody, the owners previous to them. One thing that I learned in my meth training was that meth can actually stay on walls, on furniture, on the components of the house for 20, 30 years. And so it's not something that's going to dissipate and go away eventually. It's going to stay there forever. And the vapors, the fumes from it is very dangerous. And it can cause all type of health issues, and in most extreme cases, death. So it's very important to have a meth test done. That way you know if that home is contaminated or not.
And I'm sure we can talk about meth for hours.
Oh yeah.
Now, the other test important in our inspection is rated, right? Do you do radon, or why do you think it's important to do radon gas the radon thing on a house, or is that really not important?
Well, it is important, and again, it depends on who you talk to. There's the believers and the non-believers, right, of radon. So radon is a radioactive material. It's down in the center of the earth, and as it breaks down, it starts to make its way up towards the surface of the earth. As it's going up, it's breaking down into different states. Well, when it finally gets towards the surface, it comes up as a vapor, or as a gas. And it can get into a house through the crack of the foundation. And once it gets inside, if it gets sucked in through the air conditioner's return vent, then now it's getting blown out throughout the entire house. Now, radon is invisible. It's odorless. It's colorless. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it. It's completely invisible. Now, the way that radon was discovered was because of miners that were coming down with lung cancer, yet they didn't smoke. And after further testing, they found out that these mines that they were working in all day were full of radon, and they were breathing it, and that's how they were getting the lung cancer. So a lot of people that I've dealt with have thought, well, I don't need to do a radon test here because where it's high is over there towards the sandy area because there's a lot of granite. Well, it can happen anywhere. And I proved that once by once doing a radon test in my house in Saratoga Springs, where I used to live, and it came up low. Another one was done just a few blocks away from another real estate agent friend of mine in his home, and it came up really high. So it doesn't matter where. Sometimes the construction of the house can have an effect of how much radon can get into the house.
Okay. Okay. Now, finally, one last question, Jesse, is about new construction. There's a lot of new construction here in Utah, especially Utah County, where we live. I understand this is one of the top counties in terms of growth in the country, not only in the state, but in the country. And the question is, do any buyer need an inspection on a new home, for a new construction?
Oh,
when the property is ready to go, all of them, almost all buyers think that they just rely on the builder, delivering what they promise. Okay, it's a new home, there's no problem. What is your take on that? Do you need it for inspections on new construction?
Absolutely. Even on a brand new construction home, I would definitely get an inspection done. So one thing to keep into consideration is that the people that are building these homes, they're human. They make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And it's very possible for them to make a mistake while they're building the house. Now sometimes also builders can, because they're trying to build so quickly, they might try to put a little pressure on the contractors to build quicker. And that obviously is conducive to making mistakes while they're building. So it's really interesting. Sometimes I've been there with a client and the sales representative for the builder, and when they mention having an inspection done, the sales representative kind of gets like a little very uncomfortable, not very happy kind of look on their face, and that's okay. Really, as an inspector, I'm not there to try and combat with them. I'm working for the client, trying to help them make a good choice, the best choice, before they close on that house. Because once they close on that house, it could be very difficult to get anything repaired. One other thing I would recommend too is builders will typically give a 1-year warranty on the house. So in the 11th month, I would do an 11-month inspection. That means you hire the inspector to come back out, re-inspect the entire house all over again. That way, if there's any problems that come up in that inspection, you can still have the builder be responsible for that. Otherwise, if you wait till after the warranty expires, guess what? It's coming out of your pocket.
Oh yeah,
so,
sure.
We don't want that. We want the builder to be responsible for what they build. So.
Hey, okay, Jesse, thank you very much, my friend.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's been a very informative call. We can spend a lot of time talking about many.
Oh, yes.
This is just the tip of the iceberg in regard to home inspection and the importance of having your home inspected before you closing on a transaction. Okay, I highly recommend Jesse, my friend, a great provider. And anytime you guys need for an inspection or need to address any situation regarding the condition of the home before buying a property, or even if you're living in the property and you want to know really how is the property, especially what about this, especially before selling it, it's very wise to hire an inspector before putting the property for sale, to go and address those issues before you put it for sale, and before another inspector come over here, over your home and pinpoint whatever is not working. So thank you, Jesse, for your information. It's a pleasure to do business with you. And guys, don't forget this guy. Thank you.